Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, 7 minus 6 equals Donkey Kong. I don't know what that means. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I am always joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the news from the week, including a major update to F-Zero 99. And then on Thursday, we're fixing NES games. But Mark, in the meantime, how's it going?
It's going great. Patrick, I need your help with something.
Okay.
So I have nieces and nephews.
Yep.
And last time I was hanging out with them.
Me too.
Well, last time I was hanging out with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't bragging. I was just setting the table. Last time I was hanging out with them, they were asking me to tell them jokes, specifically like solar system jokes about like outer space and stuff.
Yeah, sure.
And so, but literally all the ones I told them or like could find online, they had heard.
Really dirty.
Yeah.
Also.
But they had heard them all.
Yeah.
From somewhere. And so I thought that to avoid that, I would write some jokes about something that I know about, so like Nintendo.
Right. Okay. Sure.
And so I want to run them by you.
Okay. So
get some feedback.
You've got some like classic.
I have 3 jokes.
Joke book style jokes.
Yeah.
About Nintendo.
Yeah.
Okay.
Featuring Nintendo characters.
Okay. Great.
That I just want to run by you.
Yeah. Yeah. Good.
Okay.
I mean, if this forum is for nothing else, it is for sharing jokes about Nintendo. So,
exactly.
Is this the kind of like setup punchline kind of thing where I should be like trying to anticipate what the punchline is, or?
I don't know what that means, but the first one is a knock knock joke.
Okay.
So I will need your help with that one. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm
ready.
Ready.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Kirby.
Kirby who?
Pollo.
Kirby who? What?
Pollo. Like what Kirby would say.
Oh, okay. So are you saying that's Kirby's last name?
No.
Okay. How do I respond to this? Kirby Pollo who?
No, that's it.
That's it. That's the joke.
That's the joke.
I got it.
Yeah.
It's not good.
Okay.
I would argue. I mean, I guess knock knock is in Kirby's vernacular because it's just the sound of him knocking on a door.
Right.
Okay. All right. No, and then he has the ability to say his own name. Does Kirby have the ability to say his own name?
Oh, yeah, no. That's a good point.
Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, all right. That's interesting.
So maybe
he's like Chewbacca in that regard.
Well, I've never heard Kirby say his own name.
Yeah, I've never heard it either.
But how does Kirby know what his name is like a cat? Do you know it's not important?
Right. Is Kirby just a name that we call him because we
have to call
need
him
to understand it?
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Okay,
well, let's hear the second
message
joke.
received.
Yeah.
Here's the second.
Yeah.
Okay. A priest, a rabbi, and Kirby walk into a bar.
Okay.
The bartender looks at the 3 of them and says, "I'll need to see some ID."
Sure.
The priest checks his pockets. Says, "I don't have my ID, but I do have my Bible. You can see how worn the pages are.
Right.
Surely that proves I'm old enough to drink."
Right.
Next, the rabbi checks his coat. "I don't have my ID, but I do have my Torah. It's even more worn than his Bible. Surely this is a Torah of an old man."
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Lastly, Kirby checks his pockets.
Yeah.
Pollo.
All right. So it's kind of the same game as the previous one, but I think the build-up here works better because the expectations are that they're going to say something.
Okay.
And then okay. All right. So I like this joke better.
Okay. Good. Good. Well, this one is not a Kirby joke.
Okay.
All right. So this one's a little longer, so you'll have to indulge me.
Okay.
A nun knocks on the door of a house late at night.
Uh-huh.
A sleepy man answers the door.
I suspect that this is going to be a Kirby joke.
"I'm sorry to disturb you," says the nun, "but we're looking for some thieves who stole a car from the nearby church.
Mm-hmm.
One of the thieves is very tall and has a green hat with an L on it. One of them is average height and has a yellow hat with a W. And one of them is very short and has a vest. Have you happened to see them?" The man thinks for a moment and says, "No, I haven't, but let me get my brother." The brother comes to the door. He's very tall and has a green hat with an L on it. The nun says, "I'm sorry to disturb you, but we're looking for some thieves who stole a car from the nearby church. One of the thieves is very tall and has a green hat with an L on it. One of them is average height and has a yellow hat with a W. and one of them is very short and has a vest. Have you happened to see them? The brother thinks for a little bit and then replies, "No, officer, I haven't seen anyone, but let me get my cousin." The cousin comes to the door. He's average height and has a yellow hat with a W on it.
Okay.
"I'm sorry to disturb you," says the nun, "but we're looking for some thieves who stole a car from the nearby church. One of the thieves is very tall and has a green hat with an L on it. One of them is average height and has a yellow hat with a W, and one of them is very short and has a vest. Have you happened to see them?" The cousin thinks for some time. Then he says, "No, I haven't seen anyone, but let me get my nephew." The nephew comes to the door. He's very short and is wearing a vest. "I'm sorry to disturb you," says the nun, "but we're looking for some thieves who stole a car from the nearby church.
Mhm.
One of the thieves is very tall and has a green hat with an L on it. One of them is average height and has a yellow hat with a W, and one of them is very short and has a vest. Have you happened to see them?" The nephew thinks for a very long time. Finally, he says, "Sorry, I haven't seen anyone like that. But are you sure the car didn't get towed?"
Okay, that's pretty good.
Suddenly, Kirby appears.
No.
Pollo!
No, Mark. You got to the punchline, and then you made it a Kirby joke.
I don't understand your feedback.
Okay, well this did make me think of a joke. Knock knock.
Who's there?
Chocobo.
Chocobo who?
Quay.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah,
That's humor. I'm going to use that one.
That one's good.
That one plays.
Thank you, Mark, for those jokes. I would. Can I rank them?
Yeah, please.
2, 3, 1. If you would like to support our joke telling, you can go to patreon.com/Nintendo Cartridge Society, where if you are supporting us at the 8-bit or 16-bit levels, you get access to our once-a-month episodes, miniseries that we're making our way through. We just finished up Season 1 of NCS Arcade, and we are about to launch Season 2.
That's right, but we need your help.
Yes.
And time is of the essence.
It's time. It's a ticking.
So for this next season of NCS...
Knock, knock, who's there? A clock. A clock who? Tick, 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 tick.
Pollo!
Quay.
For this first episode of Season 2 of NCS Arcade,
yes,
we are going to play one of the recently released on Nintendo Switch Online Game Boy Mega Man games. But we need your help in determining which one that is. So there is a quiz.
It's a poll up in the Patreon.
It's not a quiz.
Anyone can. You don't have to spend any money. You can vote in the poll. Currently, so all 5 games are up there. Currently, number 1 and number 5 are tied. So it's neck and neck. Your vote in these final 24 hours until the poll closes can determine what we're going to be playing for the month of July.
That's right. So the link to the poll will be in the show notes.
That's right. And if you are following us for free on Patreon, you can get access to all of our feedback episodes. We've been doing episodes where we solicit emails from you about the games that we're playing, and we kind of record those as separate episodes that go live for everyone who's following us there, whether you're contributing money or not.
That's right. And we're just about to release one that is our Earthbound feedback episode.
Yes, a fun one. So if you are not following us for free, get in there and do that now so you can hear that episode when it drops later this week. Also, if you are a 4-bit supporter, you now have access to our NCS Detective Club series. That's 6 episodes about the greatest detective shows on television. We had a great time. We have a guest on one of those. Ryan Mogi joined us to talk about Columbo. Great episodes of Columbo too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Murder by the Book and Etude in Black. Etude in Black, is that the name of that? But both great episodes. Everything that's up there is a ton of fun. If you are not already in our Discord, you should get in our Discord. Email us Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com, and we will send you an invitation. And then the last thing, of course, that we need to plug is that the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle source book, written by me, is out in comic book stores right now. Issues 1 through 3 are on shelves. Issue number 4 comes out on September 4th. So pre-order that if you haven't already. And then the collection comes out in January, I still think, probably. So that's very exciting. Other programming things as we get into the episode here. There will be no news episode next week. I am traveling, so we're going to be dark in as far as news is concerned next week. And then we have a debug.
That's right, a Canada Day debug.
Mm-hmm.
last week to celebrate Canada Day, we took a quiz.
Kind of to acknowledge Canada Day.
Yeah,
I don't
to
know how long
acknowledge
we celebrated it.
Fair. We took a quiz to answer some questions about Canada, and one of the questions was, in what Canadian city was ginger beef invented? And I looked at the wrong answer.
Right.
And so thank you, Virtual Boy, in the Discord for flagging this. It was invented in Calgary, not Vancouver, like we thought.
Now, did we think we got the answer right, or did we think we got the answer
wrong? We thought
wrong?
we got the answer right, which was rare for us because it turns out we know very little about Canada.
Okay, but we did get the answer wrong, which we decided early on was what we were going for, right?
Yes, so in a twisted way, it all worked out.
I like to claim that we're still right somehow, abstractly here. All right, Mark, let's get into what we've been playing this week. Mark, I had a real Picross weekend.
Okay.
Where like I couldn't really pull myself away from it, and was just like, I kept turning on the Switch to be like, oh, I should play either the new NES games that dropped that we'll talk about in a bit, or to play Luigi's Mansion 2. But I kind of just kept playing Picross. I'm playing, of course, the Picross S Namco Legendary Edition, and I had the unique. I had the pleasure of doing the puzzle that revealed the main character from Mystery Tower, the game Mystery Tower, which is available on Nintendo Switch Online, and was maybe not originally released on NES in North America. Like the box art for it is weird; it's a different shape, right? But I just wanted to point this out because the character's name is Indy Borgnine. I just liked it.
It's a good name.
Yeah.
That's a very funny. Like, is it?
He's wearing like the Indiana Jones hat.
Oh, that's
and he's
very
like an
funny.
adventurer. So like the Indy part of it is definitely Indiana Jones.
Uh-huh.
And then the like
Borgnine
Borgnine
part
was just
of it.
Ernest Borgnine. I was like, what exactly was like triggering the like, oh yeah, this is who, that's like a paramount of masculinity and like going on an adventure is Indy Borgnine.
That's very funny. How many of these characters in Namco Legendary Edition do you recognize?
Oh, very few. If it's not like a Pac-Man character, Pac-Man or Dig Dug is basically all I recognize. And they have these clip Picross puzzles that are a lot of little puzzles that like add up to one bigger image. And I just completed the one that is like a splash screen for like Pac-Man. And that was very cool and exciting. And whenever I start the next one, I'm gonna be like, I don't know, and I won't know any of these title screens. So, yeah, I mean it's Picross. I don't know what to say. I'm having a ton of fun and I'm hypnotized by it.
I kind of had a similar experience. I beat Luigi's Mansion 2 this
Whoa!
week. Yeah, I went from last week being like, I don't know, it was fine for like 20 minutes or whatever I played it. I don't know if I'll go back to it. To that's all I played this week.
Holy cow.
I just mainlined it.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
You've beaten it. So
I beat it.
I'm in the middle of the third mansion right now.
Is that the clock tower?
It's the clock tower.
Okay. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's not it's not a perfect game by any means.
Right.
But
it's imminently playable, right?
It is eminently playable. And even though it is perfectly broken up to allow you to just set it down after 20 or 30 minutes, like you do a mission.
Yeah.
And sometimes it like I don't know. You were totally right that last week when you were saying that the graphics and it's kind of it looks fine.
Yes.
But even last week I was saying, yeah, but it doesn't look that good. But all of that melted away. Like, yeah, objectively it probably doesn't look that good, but it did not stop me from enjoying it at all.
Like the atmosphere still rules, the music and the personality and just like the environments are rendered clearly enough to like burrow into your imagination.
I would wake up with the Luigi's Mansion 2 music because there's basically one song.
Yes.
They play seemingly the entire time. Dun 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 dun. Like I just had that in my head constantly. But yeah, I just could not stop. I could not stop playing it. There was parts of it that like I probably would have benefited from giving it a little bit more space between sessions because the game is pretty repetitive.
Yeah.
The missions are, hey, you gotta track down Polterpup.
Yep.
You gotta get these annoying toads to this pixelator. Hey, guess what? A bunch of ghosts. They took the thing you needed, broke it into like 5 parts,
Now you gotta
and
go
now you
find
gotta
it.
go collect them.
Yeah.
But it's great. I really like Luigi's Mansion 2.
That's amazing to hear. Can you remind us what your experience with Luigi's Mansion 3 was?
Yeah, so I bought it when it came out. You and I played it in local co-op at your place for like an afternoon.
Right.
And we were playing on your save, so you had already made progress in the game.
Right.
And then you and I played co-op, and then I went back to my game, and I was like, I don't want to play this again. I don't want to go through all these levels that I've already gone through, but just by myself this time. So I never picked it up again.
Yeah. Do you feel compelled at all to pick it back up?
Someday, but not now.
Not right now.
I've had
you
two,
OD'd on it.
Yeah, I've had plenty of Luigi's
Yeah.
Mansion. I actually just picked up the like Disco Elysium Definitive Edition or whatever it's
Okay.
called, because it was like $12.
Yeah.
And I had some gold points, so I paid a couple of dollars for it. And so I think maybe that's what I'm gonna do next. But I still have 1,000-Year Door to get back to at some point.
I can't believe that you like went all the way. I saw you like pop on to play it a couple times this weekend. I did not realize that you had that feels unlike you to just like
I feel the same exact way.
Something. Yeah.
The other unique thing was because it was the 4th of July, I had some time off.
Sure.
And so I had more opportunity to like play during the week, which I normally don't have that much time to play video games.
Right.
And so, yeah, I really got into it. It's like Egad, I love him. What are you gonna do? Luigi's great in it.
Polterpup also great.
Polterpup is great. But I understand some of the complaints about the game, like because it is broken up into 20 to 30-minute missions. That's how long they took me on average. And there are times where like, oh, but I want to just keep exploring, but the game forces you to reset.
Yes.
Like it's not like an open world, like an open mansion that you can just continue to go through.
Can I confess something? I like that. There's something about the Luigi's Mansion 3 formula where I'm like, it almost feels like too big and I don't want to move on until I've like finished, or I feel like I am like leaving things on the table if I move on before I've, like thoroughly explored everything. In Luigi's Mansion 2, it's like, you've accomplished this thing. Now get out.
Yeah. No, I mean, I
appreciate it.
I understand, because there were times where I was like, ooh, I should have gone in that door before I finish this, because I'm never going to go back. I am not good at the controls in any Luigi Mansion game.
Mm-hmm.
That is just my truth. I don't, probably longtime listeners of the show remember that I got to experience the demo for Luigi's Mansion 3 at E3.
Yes.
And I died, and like really quickly, and neither me nor the facilitator knew what to do.
Right.
Because nobody dies in those demos.
But Mark sure did.
But I found
maybe you were blinded by those amazing bellhop uniforms.
Yeah, it could have been.
Yeah.
But the bosses in this game, like I didn't find the game particularly challenging otherwise. But the bosses, I think, are like sometimes hard, and it took me a while to figure out probably like all of them, what I was supposed to do to beat them.
Fun.
But like the game only has a handful of ghost types, but all the ghosts have really strong personalities, and the bosses are all very unique and different.
Yeah.
It's a great game.
It's a great game.
I don't know. I really like Luigi's Mansion 2.
I mean, I agree with this take. I mean, I have not beaten it yet. But no, I'm really enjoying it. How did you said you're not going like back into any of the segments. But do you find yourself catching a lot of the boos, or is that something you're not even really engaging with at all?
So I would not go out of my way to catch the boos.
Yeah.
But I was, so in each level of Luigi, in each like stage, I guess you'll call it, each mission in Luigi's Mansion 2, there is a boo that's on the loose.
Right.
And you have a special flashlight type that will,
like a spectral flashlight.
Yes, that uncovers hidden things. And so you don't see the boos in the room necessarily, but if you're using that spectral light to look for something else, you can encounter them. So if I happen to encounter them, I would engage with them, but otherwise I wasn't like going out of my way to find them each level.
I don't think I'm so like, and the game also like scores you, 1, 2, or 3 stars. I think that's it, right?
I think that's what you can get.
That
Yeah.
and it's based on a number of things: how much treasure you collect, how much time it takes you to do it, how much damage you take. And so like there are kind of two little indicators next to each mission as you complete them: your star ranking and whether or not you caught the boo. And like I ended up replaying a couple of the levels so I could get higher star ratings, but I don't totally love that because like I can do it fast or I can do it without taking damage. It's tough for me to do both.
I don't like grades in video games. I don't
Sure.
want to be. I don't want to be
It's not
scored.
school.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't like being scored
Yeah.
on my. That's one thing that's always turned me off
Unless I'm good at it.
on games like Bayonetta or something like that,
Sure,
where
yeah.
it gives you a score at the end. And sometimes I'm like, I'm just happy to have made it through.
Right, yeah.
Like the fact that you're giving me a C or whatever. Although I don't mind it in Resident Evil games, to be honest.
Sure. Yeah. And that's you just get graded once at the end.
Right. Is that true? I feel like in Resident Evil
Yeah.
4, don't you get one at the end of like every?
Oh, every like chapter? Or
yeah, every
whatever?
chapter.
I don't know.
I can't remember.
I don't remember.
But anyways, yeah, I don't like getting graded, and so it is not an incentive to me to try to go back and do better.
Right.
It's not a motivator for me.
It's also a bummer when you get one star and Luigi's like, oh no. Like he still did it.
Right. Yeah. What more do you want from me?
He should be like, okay.
Luigi of all people should have like,
Yeah.
you know, hey, I did
At
it.
least I finished. But the I do like having that boo there. Like and when you do all the boos in a mansion, it unlocks like another area.
Okay, so I wondered
I
about
haven't done
that.
this yet.
Yeah, because I saw
Yeah.
like at the end when I would finish
Yeah.
a mansion or like whatever, like an area.
Yep.
Then before it moves on to the next one and like the mission select screen, there's a locked one at the bottom, and
Yes.
I have no idea what that is.
And it's you need to have caught all the boos.
That makes sense.
So I have not caught all the boos in either of the first two mansions. There's one boo in each one that I need to go back in and find. And I am going to do that because I do find fighting the boos fun and interesting because they are all different, which is crazy. They have different names and like different behaviors and like attack patterns and stuff, which is like cool because they're just boos, they're all basically the same. But so I am going to do that. I'm not going to go back in and get 3 stars on everything though.
I also learned
Mm-hmm.
that it was only called Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon in like the United States
Yes.
and South Korea.
Right.
Everywhere else, it was just Luigi's Mansion 2.
Right.
Which
So-
makes sense why this one is just Luigi's Mansion 2 HD.
Yeah, we're streamlining things now. There's no more of this like 2 names of things. Another code is now just another code.
I surprised myself with how much I enjoyed using the spectral light special flashlight to find different things
Yeah.
that were hidden. I loved collecting cash.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, I loved collecting cash.
It's all I also love collecting cash. I gotta say, there's something very funny to me about like being in a Mario setting and encountering dollar bills. Like in a world where there are also coins the size of your fist, there are bills.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes they're in like a stack on top of like a ceiling fan, and that's fun. Or like stuffed away inside an old oak tree or something. Gold bars, coins, and dollar bills. I love it.
And also, maybe this is heresy, but after playing it, I don't think there was room for Luigi.
That makes a lot of sense.
I think the game is already pretty stuffed with things, and I haven't even touched the multiplayer.
Well, so that was going to be my next question: is would you like to play some Scare Scraper with me?
I think it would be fun.
that
I never played it on. I don't think I played it on Luigi's Mansion 3
definitely didn't play it
either.
on Luigi's Mansion 3.
And so, but yeah, really liking Luigi's Mansion 2. I would say that it took me between 15 and 20 hours
Sure.
maybe to beat it. Because there's like 5 missions in each mansion
And 4 main mansions, right?
and it took me like between 20 minutes and half an hour to do each of them.
And then you have to chat with EGAD for like 3 minutes between each
Yeah.
one.
And
And I know that sometimes it is your want to just like skip.
I skipped a lot of cutscenes.
You skipped a lot of them.
I did. By the end, it was like
Go.
just generally speaking, I don't think games need to have a cutscene for opening doors. I just don't think it's necessary.
Yeah.
And in this game, when you have a key, if you're
Yes.
opening a door, it has like a special cutscene. It's like, I don't need it. Just get me through there.
Right. I mean, if you wanted to like one time be like the key vanishes, it's strange.
Yes, absolutely.
Fine. But yeah, absolutely. And I also get it as like a relic of the original Resident Evil, where that was
right, to
a
hide
load
loading
screen.
or something.
Right. But like, yeah, it is 2024. We do not need
I
that
just don't
screen.
need it. I really, and I maybe Luigi's Mansion 3 doesn't do this, I don't think. I think Luigi's Mansion 3 is more like Luigi's Mansion, the original for GameCube, where there are so many different. I liked going to different mansions and having the different, like, this is the cold mansion, and
Yes.
this is the clock tower mansion.
Right. This one's a greenhouse. Yeah.
Like, I thought that was a lot of fun as well.
Yeah. I mean, I think the different worlds of it are good. And Luigi's Mansion 3 does like the different floors of a hotel that like they're differently
Oh, sure.
themed.
It's like the Metroid Other M. It's like a space station with all these different biomes.
Yeah. I mean, now that we're describing it that way, I hate it. But yeah, Luigi's Mansion 2 HD, borderline great. I don't know.
And it's also really funny to me because when it was revealed, when it was coming out, both you and I were just like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, who cares about this?
And I think I was a little higher on it than you. And
I truly was.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't look very good.
Right.
Like, who cares? But I loved it. I loved it. I couldn't get enough.
I also like that you playing it basically all 4th of July weekend. Just sort of like reinforces the idea that we could put out an episode about ghost movies on the 4th of July, right? That like it was the right time for it.
That's right. That's right.
We were thinking about ghosts and we weren't wrong to be doing
No,
that.
I was immersed in it.
The only other thing I've been playing this week, I got excited when we announced the NCS Arcade for this month was going to be one of the Game Boy.
You're a
Mega
mega
Man
head.
games. I'm a mega head for sure. And I looked to see what game was losing in the polls, and it was Mega Man 3. And I was like, great. So it's safe for me to play that, and it won't be redundant to my experience of playing this for NCS Arcade. So I've played like 95% of Mega Man 2 or Mega Man 3 on the Game Boy. And super fun. I had forgotten how much of not just the robot bosses are there, but how much the individual levels like play the exact same game as they do on the NES. So like a lot of the same enemies and like level layouts, like the Gemini Man level had those little like eggs that you have to like shoot, and then a little tadpole comes out. And as a kid, you're like, are these sperm? Are these robot sperm I'm shooting my Mega Buster at? But having a great time with it. Hard. It's hard. And so I made liberal use of the rewind feature, as I imagine we will when we play one of these for NCS Arcade.
I don't have obviously any expectations that the music will be as good as the like NES versions, but how is the music?
Kind of identical to the NES versions.
Oh wow.
That was another thing that like kind of that I was like shocked at how much the Game Boy sound chip, at least as presented here, sounded exactly like the
That's
the
kind of
NES.
awesome because
Yeah.
I feel like even with compositions that I feel like the Game Boy can sound really shrill.
Yes. But I feel like this isn't using the specific Game Boy instruments that sound that shrill, right? Like it just sounds more like an NES. And this is like for me in pretty stark comparison to I played a couple levels of Super Mario World on the GBA through Nintendo Switch Online, and was like the GBA sound chip trying to sound like Super NES is like it hurts. Like I just hate it.
I was watching on the Games Done Quick. They had a speed run of Donkey Kong Country 3, but it was the GBA version.
Sure.
And I was reminded the couch was talking about how the soundtrack for that game was completely new. It's completely redone.
Oh wow.
Maybe uses like a couple of compositions from the Super Nintendo game, but they were saying that it was for that reason because like the Donkey Kong Country 3 soundtrack on like the Super Nintendo is like bass heavy or like something like that. Basically, it didn't sound good.
That makes sense
coming from the GBA, and so it's a entirely new soundtrack.
It's also fascinating playing games on Nintendo Switch Online for that were originally on GBA because they're so bright.
Yes.
Right, that like the art design in all these games was very colorful and very light in color because the screen wasn't backlit, so they had to like kind of fake light by making everything brightly colored. And then when you just put it on a TV or with a backlit screen, it's like, what is this mess?
I know. Do you know? Like, I definitely had an original Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, me too.
But I also had a Game Boy Advance SP, and that's what I played most of the games on. So maybe that is just like the aesthetic that I'm used to with Game Boy Advance games. I love the look of like the vibrant colors of Game Boy Advance games. Like I love the way the Metroid Fusion looks.
Yeah.
I feel like it's unlike any of the other Metroid games because everything's like neon green and blue and purple.
See, but those are like cool colors though. Like when you transplant that to like that need for lighter colors to Mario, and it's like this blue sky becomes an even lighter blue, these yellows become like neon, and these reds are like almost pink. I'm like, it doesn't make sense anymore. But yeah, I totally agree with you on Fusion. Like the crazy way Fusion looks is exactly what I want.
I have never played any Mario games from the Game Boy Advance on Nintendo Switch Online. So I didn't play, I haven't played like the remake of 2 or whatever.
Right.
I should play
2 World, Yoshi's Island, and 3.
I should play 3 because the Nintendo Switch Online version has all the e-reader levels,
It
right?
does have all the e-reader levels. A lot of those are like disposable and like not
I'm sure,
tons of fun. But yeah, I mean, that could be an NCS arcade, right?
Yeah.
We could do Super Mario Advance for Super Mario Brothers 3.
Sure, it made sense to somebody at some point.
It's how they were coming out, you know?
Yep.
All right. Well, so that's what we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
So last week, Nintendo, just out of nowhere, decides, do you know what, this month, we're giving them 7 NES games.
And not just any time this month, but on a holiday, the 4th of July. Celebrate the United States independence by playing these 7 NES games.
Right, which we've never, other than when the Nintendo Switch Online first launched,
right,
with a body of Nintendo Entertainment System games, we've never had 7 NES games just drop at once.
And in fact, outside of any new library starting, we've never gotten this many games at once. I think we got 5 when they did the rare games a couple months ago. But yeah, 7?
So crazy. So the games are Urban Champion, Golf.
Right, and as a reminder, Golf was originally like on the Switch's like OS as sort of like an Easter egg, but was not really playable without like hacking into the thing.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to remember. It was like was it Iwata's birthday? If you
something like
made
that, yeah,
the like a motion with the Switch.
That's right. It was doing the like direct hand motion with the Joy-Con. Although you must have had to be in like some sort of like debug mode or something in order to do that.
I don't know. I can't remember.
Anyway, Golf is playable
so many
now.
years ago. Mock Rider, which I've never played.
Mock Rider is weird. I played a little bit of it. It is strange.
Cobra Triangle,
which is a rare game.
Like Rare developed.
Yep.
Back when they were working on the NES. Solar Jetman.
I don't know
what that is either. The Mystery of Atlantis.
A mystery to me.
And then Donkey Kong Jr. Math.
Incredible.
A terrible game, but I am so happy that this got a release.
It is one of those like bizarre curiosities of the NES. It is the only game to bear the educational series like branding on it, as though they thought they were going to do a bunch more, because that's what like they thought was going to be part of like the market for this thing, was like, oh, it's a computer entertainment thing, so it must also teach kids.
And whether they thought it was going to be like an ongoing thing, that's how they positioned it in America, so that way people weren't scared off by the fact of it being a video game machine. It's like, no. This is also an educational
Look,
computer.
it's a toy, and it's a thing that teaches people. It's a toy robot. It's a gun. It's a thing you run on, and it teaches you math.
Yeah, don't worry.
Donkey Kong Jr. Math also features a like weird second player version of Donkey Kong Jr. who's like pink, who doesn't have a character name or anything like that, but he is a mysterious figure.
We need to know more.
We need to know more about him.
This is that mysterious Donkey Kong game that Nintendo
That's right.
has probably been working on.
What if the game that they actually have been working on is Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze Math?
I would scream.
And
like out of joy.
Right,
I would be so.
Right. And there was a funky mode to it.
And there was a funky mode, and that weird pink like secret Donkey Kong
Yes.
Jr. is in it,
or is revealed to be Funky Kong. Okay, so this is cool, right? Two things. One. Hold on, I'm trying to order these things in my head. Okay, thing number one is Sarah went out for drinks on Wednesday while you and I were recording, and these games came to the Switch like later that night. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna play some of these until she gets back after you left. And instead of playing any of these games, I just spent, I don't know, an hour organizing games.
Very good.
And Sarah came home from drinks and she was like, are you playing a game? And I said, I'm organizing NES games. And she was like, oh. And I said, I'm having a wonderful time. So you know how I've tried to like try to curate it in a way where it's like, here are the games that I'm actually going to play. Here are like the big marquee titles. The Mario games are first, and then there's like adventure games. So like Zelda 2, Kid Icarus, Metroid, and all this stuff. There have been so many games added in the last 3 or 4 months that like I just had a lot of work to do to arrange these things in a way that like made them compelling and fun for me. And the addition of the 5 Mega Man games was also, I was like, oh, I got to go into like the Game Boy library and organize that. The point is, I love organizing these games, and I would love to at some point really break down how I have them organized. And see if other people are doing something similar.
Yeah, I have done no organization at all, and it is so frustrating to try to find anything in those libraries because maybe they do, but I don't think they have an option to like auto organize them by. They do. Is it by like alphabetically or like release date, or
you can choose either? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I haven't even done that. So it's just complete chaos.
You can do alphabetical release date. I think frequently played and most recently played.
Mm-hmm.
So like there are options to make it like just sort of functional, and I like functionality, but I also need it to be like an aesthetic.
No,
thing.
I love this exercise.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like you. Do you ever have it in your home where you just have like piles of stuff?
Yes.
And it's to somebody else, they would come in and they'd be like, why do you have this pile of stuff? And it's like, no, this is organized.
No, I know this pile.
Yeah.
Yeah. It serves a purpose.
Right. And so I feel like it's like we should do this exercise. It could be a peek, even if we don't record it, because it would be a peek into each other's psyche. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I absolutely do.
Yeah,
yes.
I love that.
Okay, so that's number one. Number two is with games like Golf, Mach Rider, Urban Champion, and Donkey Kong Jr. Math getting on this platform, we are getting like dangerously close to this being like a comprehensive NES library, especially where first-party titles are concerned. Obviously, we are still missing Zoda's Revenge, Star Tropics 2, and like a handful of others. But there was one in particular that I was like, it would be really cool if this game could ever come out, but why would it? Because it's tied up in rights issues, and that game is Popeye on the NES. A Miyamoto game, one of the launch games for the NES. The rights issues may not be an issue in just a couple months, as Popeye enters the public domain in 2025. So, it's just something I wanted to float out there. That is it possible that for the first time since it was released on the NES, there may be a likelihood of them re-releasing Popeye for the NES.
I would love for that to be true.
Yeah.
That would be really, really cool. I will say that I would be surprised if Nintendo does it, only because I think that they want to focus on their like own IP. But at the same time, it's not
It's
like
not
who would care.
focusing- Yeah, exactly.
Or do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
it's not
sure.
like it's for a very specific slice of people would be like, holy crap, Popeye from Nintendo is on the NES. Everybody else would be like, what is this weird Popeye
Yeah.
game?
Is that different from Donkey Kong Jr. Math, though?
No.
It's the same weirdos,
Yeah,
right?
no. I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
started out a little skeptical, but by the end,
You won.
I've been won over to this. That would be amazing.
There's also the arcade version of Popeye, also made by Nintendo, which is like a totally different game. And I would be interested in.
Oh, are they
playing
not?
either. They're
Is
different games. Yeah.
Popeye for the NES? I just assumed it was a port of the arcade game, just like Donkey Kong was a port of the arcade game.
So the reason it's not is that the arcade game uses these like big sprites, and it can do that because it's running on different hardware than what the NES is. It's like closer to like the cabinets that were running Punch Out in the arcade, which uses even larger sprites than are on the NES. And the NES was using special like technology inside the cart even to accomplish that. So yeah, they're just different games because they technically, like, because of the technical limitations, have to be.
Very cool.
So that was basically it. I just am psyched up by the idea of having Popeye possibly on NSO next year, and that gets us one step closer to like knocks down one domino for the Game & Watch library, which has a handful of licensed games. And Mickey was turned into Egg for sort of a like license-free version of it. There's Mickey and Donald, there's Snoopy Tennis, and there's Popeye. And those four were never made into like non-licensed versions of themselves. And this knocks one of those down. They could re-release Popeye as part of a new like Game & Watch collection.
Well, and technically the like Steamboat Willie version of Mickey is in the public domain, but I don't know what.
Yeah, but I think it's more like the 80s version of Mickey that is in those games, especially the Mickey and Donald game, because that has Donald Duck, right? The Mickey game was they released the license-free version of it as Egg, where you like play a wolf.
I remember
who's,
that,
collecting
yeah.
the eggs, yeah.
Well, also today, July 9th, Nintendo Switch Sports Basketball DLC is being added to the game. It's free DLC that was announced in last month's Nintendo Direct.
Mm-hmm.
They said it was coming in summer, and here it is.
Yeah, a pretty quick turnaround from when they actually announced the release date to it coming out. Mark, are you going to be trying out basketball?
I don't know. I
Did you try out golf?
No, I didn't try out golf.
Okay.
I have not turned on Nintendo Switch Sports for a couple of years now.
Yeah, me neither. There was like one weekend I went back to it after my initial experience with it, but yeah, I it does not like nag at me as something I want to get back to.
I am happy to see them continuing to add things to it.
Me too. It makes me also be like, why weren't these? It feels like the game shipped incomplete.
It does kind of feel like the game shipped incomplete. But Nintendo Switch Sports has just been a silent seller.
Yeah.
Like, I think
it's a silent 13 million seller.
Right. Yeah. Like, it's pretty crazy. And so I'm not surprised that they continue to support it.
Yep.
The other thing I wanted to call out on new releases, it comes out Thursday, July 11th. It's something called Parasol Stars. The name caught my attention because I'm like, wait, what does this mean? It's Parasol Stars, the story of Bubble Bobble 3.
Okay. Fascinating. What does this mean?
Okay. So, and I know Bubble Bobble as, hey, there's two cute little dragons and they're shooting bubbles around.
Right.
Well, apparently there was a game so the original Bubble Bobble came out in 1986.
Yes.
And then in 1987, a game called Rainbow Islands came out. And Rainbow Islands is the it's like a sequel to Bubble Bobble, where in like the two little dragons, after successfully rescuing their girlfriends, are turned into their human forms. And that's what you're playing as in Rainbow Islands. And instead of blowing bubbles, they create rainbows, which they use to defeat enemies. And then Parasol Stars, the story of Bubble Bobble 3 is a sequel to Rainbow Island. And the third game in the Bubble Bobble series. But then at some point, in the 90s, somebody was like, what is going on? We like people liked the dragons and the bubbles, so let's do more of that.
Right.
So then in 1993, they do a Bubble Bobble Part 2,
Right.
which is a more direct sequel, like gameplay wise, to Bubble Bobble. So there's like there's two competing
branching
series.
paths. Right.
Um,
Wasn't there just like a Bubble Bobble for Friends or something like that came out not that long ago?
yeah, in 2019.
Yeah. Okay, so we got these branching paths. So Parasol Stars, the story of Bubble Bobble 3, is the human path?
It's the human path, but it is in fact the third game in the Bubble Bobble series.
Okay.
Which went Bubble Bobble, Rainbow Islands,
Uh-huh.
Parasol Stars. But then, and I agree.
And then Puzzle Bobble / Bust a Move is like a separate path?
I don't even
You don't even know what that is. Okay.
It's too much for
I'm
my
sorry.
brain to handle.
I'm sorry.
But
It's just like the Pink Donkey Kong Jr. the things we're not meant to know.
It's just at some point, and I
Yeah.
agree with this person, somebody was like, where did the dragons go?
Yeah.
They were cute.
Yes.
People wanted bubbles in their Bubble Bobble games.
That's right.
And so they created a direct sequel to the original. I guess just like, is trendy with movie reboots.
Right.
It's like, this new Exorcist movie. It's a direct sequel to the first Exorcist.
Right.
We're pretending that the rest of these didn't exist. I feel like they did that with Bubble Bobble.
Right.
Where they're like,
right.
Rainbow Island and Parasol Stars. I don't know what that is. We're going back to the dragons.
Right. And I mean, honestly, if you're like going to go back to like foundational principles and you have dragons, like just do
And
that.
cute little chibi dragons?
Cute little chibi dragon? I'll be honest. Any size dragon. Really? If they've got enormous like Vagar-sized dragons, I'm watching House of the Dragon. I'm enjoying it this season. I think it's good. If there was a giant dragon who came in and like munched those little guys, I think that'd be fun.
Well, all this is to say I learned a lot about Bubble Bobble that I didn't know before.
All right, Mark. Those are the new releases. Let's close this out. Which brings us to a regular segment on our show. It is time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or a group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of this show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance of 433, Mark and I'll talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, you pose a question today. The question is, how old is your oldest piece of clothing, and how do you determine when it's time to retire clothing?
Yeah, this question is prompted by the fact that I recently retired a t-shirt that I bought at Urban Outfitters in like 2005.
Okay. All right. That makes me feel... I was afraid that you were going to be like a t-shirt that I bought in 2021.
Or
something like that.
No.
Because I am currently wearing the gay PlayStation t-shirt that I got from the last PSX, which I believe was 2017 or 2018. And I wear this shirt basically weekly. I love it. It's got a rainbow and the PlayStation sacred symbols on it. And I don't know that I'll ever get rid of this shirt. As it ages, I think it looks better. But so yeah, I mean, I don't. What was this? Was it just a plain T-shirt?
So it was just a T-shirt that was like blue and brown stripes, basically.
Okay.
It wasn't anything special. It was just in rotation.
Did it have like a little
for
collar
like a really
too?
long time? Not like
the
anything.
Collar was brown.
No, I don't think
okay,
so.
all right.
I don't think so.
I'm just trying to. Because I've known you for many years. I'm sure I've seen you in this shirt. Yeah.
There is a picture of you and I doing improv, and I am wearing this shirt. I promise.
Probably true.
I promise that is true.
Yeah.
But finally, it like
it just fall apart, or
yeah, and it just been around for so long. It's not like I held any particular attachment to it.
Right.
I just liked it.
Yeah. Well, because there are some shirts that just like. Well, and this is one way that you can tell when it's time to like get rid of something is when it doesn't like fit you right anymore, and that can either be because it's been washed so many times or because your body changes. And so like I've gotten rid of shirts for that reason, but I don't know. I think I'm bad at letting go of clothes because I don't really like the exercise of shopping for clothing. When I find clothing that I like new clothing, I'm excited, but like the task of seeking it out sucks, and I hate it.
It's very demoralizing when you go with the purpose of buying clothing
Yes.
and not finding anything you like.
Right. Yeah, it's the worst.
So what do you think is your oldest piece of clothing? If you had to
guess.
like pick one, yeah.
Geez, it's tough.
Do you have any t-shirts from college?
So I don't have a t-shirt from college. I do have a t-shirt from the company that made that printed my CD, the CD that I released the year after college. So the disc makers, and I still wear this shirt to this day. It's gray. It's got like a weird little like superhero looking guy on it. So I still have that. That's probably from 2006 or 7. That's gotta be the oldest shirt I own.
But that also has sentimental value. So that's, I mean,
yeah, but not really. I don't have any like. Yes, that's my album was printed there, but like I didn't have a relationship with this company, right? Like,
right.
I spent too much money with them, and they printed a bunch of copies of my record. But like, yeah,
I guess that's true.
Not really sentimental.
I
think that's got to be the oldest. I don't have any like college shirts or anything like that, because even though like I had a bunch at the time, both like that were printed by like the university, or a couple that like I designed, and I don't have any of those anymore.
I feel like next up in my I've got to replace this soon is suit. I need, because next year I'm going to be going to a lot of weddings.
Okay.
And
this is just like a resolution.
I think the suit I have is 5 or 6 years old. It just feels like it's time for a new one.
Yeah, time for a new one. And do you ever think that like that we were accompanied today by pianist Kyle Shaw, and we'll close out of this in a second. But is your suit tailored?
No, I've never bought a tailored suit.
Yeah,
I've like had the pants hemmed.
Yes,
but I've never had like a truly tailored suit.
I think that's the next step for us, Mark.
That would be amazing. We should do it, and we should do it together.
Yes. We'll hold hands the whole time.
Yep.
They'll have to like adjust.
That's their problem. That's what we're paying them for.
That's right. All right. Kyle Shaw, Mark, let's get into the news.
Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope is the next Nintendo Switch Online game trial in North America and Europe. It runs through July 14th. So the last couple of ones, I feel like a lot of times when we talk about these, we catch them at the very end.
Right.
It's like we're talking
about
at
the beginning here, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Paul in our Discord brought up something when this was announced that I thought was worth talking about. He said, quote, "They really should have like a mini 5 to 10 minute video every NSO release and game trial with an on-air talent explaining what the game is and how to get it in your Switch. We all know how to do that, but I wonder how many people have NSO and aren't even aware game trials exist."
Yes, and I saw other people comment in the Discord that like, oh yeah, I'm super plugged in. I like pay attention on like the news channel on the Switch, and I wouldn't know that these things were happening unless I was listening to this show and hanging out in this Discord.
Yeah, and I completely agree. I feel like there are a lot of things I like about Nintendo Switch Online, but this is one where I don't feel like Nintendo does a very good job of messaging it.
Right.
And I feel like
in either of these cases, the game trials or when new things are added to NSO.
Yeah, because like I guess what I'm comparing it to, and maybe it's because this is my point of reference that like nothing will compare, but I remember how big of a deal Games with Gold was for Microsoft
on the Xbox.
For Xbox Live,
right,
when you subscribe to Gold. And then when you subscribe to Xbox Live Gold, then you would get these games added to your library that you could download for free. And PlayStation started doing a similar thing in the PlayStation 4 era, but I feel like this is a pretty cool perk. Maybe it's the fact that it's not running all the time. Maybe it's the fact that it's unlike Games with Gold or the PlayStation program, that it's not like added to your library until you stop subscribing. It's only for like a week
Right.
that these games are available. But
It's
there's
PlayStation Plus, by the way.
PlayStation
Yeah.
Plus, thank you. Yeah, there's like something about it that just doesn't. I wonder what the adoption of, like how many people are taking advantage of this,
Right.
because there's something about it that just doesn't hit.
It doesn't register.
And it
really.
doesn't help that I think it's great that they added the Nintendo Switch Online like functionality, like tab section on your Nintendo Switch. But it's like the eShop where it's seemingly just opening a web browser and just running a web app on your Switch, and it's so clunky
that
and
you don't really want to open it.
that you don't really want to engage with it.
Well, and like especially when every time you go into a streaming service, and there's got to be a happy medium here because a lot of this is annoying. But like you open up Netflix. And like you're gonna navigate to whatever you're gonna want to watch, but first things first, it's gonna be like, there's a new Beverly Hills Cop movie. Do you want to watch it? And it's really quick to navigate away from it, but you are aware that it's there. And there's no point where like I can't turn on my Switch and like try to navigate to Luigi's Mansion 2 and just see like, oh, by the way, here's this other game that you now have access to for free. It's like an ad, but for a thing you've already paid for.
Yeah. Like on the one hand, I admire the restraint.
Sure.
Because there aren't, on the main Switch screen, there aren't ads. There aren't call to actions. It is just your games, and like the eShop and stuff like that. And yes, when you turn on,
is that there is something refreshing about that for sure.
But when you turn on your Switch, there is like the rail on the left hand side that has a couple of like news items, and I'm sure that they promote it there. But yeah, in general, I feel like the Nintendo Switch Online, like the features, I just feel like they could do a better job of and it feels like of showing you the value that's in it and like and I feel like it would be there to their benefit to enhance that as well, because they want to keep you subscribed to Nintendo Switch Online.
Yeah, and I mean, I wonder if some of it is because like you're right in saying that like when you like navigate to the Nintendo Switch Online like app on the Switch, that it does seem to be basically like loading it all in real time, right? And I just wish there was like some amount of assets for it already on the Switch, so that or that it like updated on its own like every night or something like that, so that it didn't take forever for it to like cycle through that stuff. It might even be more engaging or fun to like play with it or mess around with it instead of this like slow, laborious process that it is. But I wouldn't want that to like be like put up there and to like sacrifice at the altar of like speed of the overall system, right?
Totally.
So yeah, obviously like a weird dance between like what's too intrusive, what feels like an ad and is therefore crappy, and what is really just like telling you what services are like available to you that you're already paying for.
I wonder if this, and I mean the Nintendo Switch Online section in the Switch is a huge improvement over what was there the first, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 years where there was like no acknowledgement. And Nintendo is not it's a game company, but it's not like a firmware software company.
Right.
That's never been, it's always been fine.
Right.
It's never been a big focus for them. But I do wonder with how big of a deal Nintendo is making about Nintendo accounts.
Right.
And they started that whole company with DNA, like Nintendo Systems Co. I wonder if,
LTD.
I wonder if maybe the next Switch firmware, it will be more baked in and integrated. But of course, we've now had like 3 or 4 generations of eShops that are just web stores, in a fancy frame.
Yeah.
So who knows? But I do think that's an area that I would like to see improved.
Yeah, well, and it's interesting that like the Wii U and 3DS had this whole like Miiverse thing to it as well, that like they've dabbled in kind of like forsaking an OS that is well, I mean honestly, the as I'm talking about it, the Wii U, you would see like the Mii Plaza, and there would be Miis like in different little corners, and some of those were like Miis representing your friends, and you would see what they were playing or what they had been playing recently. And like, yes, I can go into or or just whatever games Nintendo wanted to like promote at that point. And if any of your friends happen to be playing them, then the me would be over there. So like it does seem like they had that inkling at some point, tying it into like the social aspect of it, which doesn't feel intrusive at all. Like honestly feels like good and informative. Oh, a bunch of my friends are playing Donkey Kong. Now I'm interested. I don't know. It feels like there are opportunities here and they're not taking any of them.
Well, and I really think that with the Switch, they went in a very utilitarian,
minimalist,
the totally opposite direction in Miiverse. And I would like to see them take, and I admire it. Like the Switch,
Snappy.
It does exactly what you
Yes.
need it to do. Getting into a game is really quick. You don't have to go buy the latest ad from like an Ubisoft game or something.
Right.
Nintendo's not selling ad space on the homepage. It's just get you to the game that you want to play. But I would like to see a little bit of the whimsy come back in the successor. Like, give us an eShop theme again. Give us system music. Like,
Right.
those sorts of things that Nintendo is so good at that I think they could add without taking away from the what makes the Switch so efficient.
Yeah. And I'm curious to see actually if there's any of this integrated into Nintendo World Championships NES Edition when it comes out. But both the NES Remix games and Smash 4 had like little museum things in them that you could then use as direct launch pads for those games on the eShop, on Virtual Console. And obviously those weren't free games. You had to buy them, whatever. So like there's obviously some incentive there to like, oh, you're enjoying playing as Pit in Super Smash Brothers for Nintendo's for Wii U. Maybe you would also enjoy playing Kid Icarus. And like the fact that the game is just available for NSO subscribers, why not have that portal just be there in those games? You know?
That will be interesting, especially because they're not asking you to shell out $5 for a like owning the virtual console copy, but they really want to get you to spend that $20 to subscribe to Nintendo Switch Online. So
yeah. And like there would be so many different opportunities for it, right? Like if you're playing Super Mario Odyssey, right, and you just beat that first part of New Donk City where there's the celebration and all that, there's necessarily a loading screen that like has to get you back into like the reset level. You could have a little thing there being like Donkey Kong is available to play. Like click here and we'll like make sure it's downloaded to your thing or whatever.
Well, like you're saying, I feel like Nintendo World Championships would be
it's a perfect opportunity for
that, because in like a game like Super Mario Odyssey, I guess I don't know,
or if it's even just on like the home like menu screen, like related games that are already available for you to play.
Well, similar to in Kirby and the Forgotten Land,
yes,
there was in Kirby's home, there was like a photo album or whatever that showed you a selection of Kirby games. It wasn't every Kirby game ever, but if you did something like that in Odyssey, where like in the Odyssey itself, you went in and there was like a photo album or something, and it had classic Mario games that are available on Nintendo Switch Online, and you could take it right to it. I don't think it's a terrible idea. I think it's in their best interest to make people aware what they're paying for, because I think for a lot of people, it's probably, I want to play Splatoon online, I want to play this thing online, and so I have to pay the $20 to do it.
Right.
And it's a lot more than that.
Well, and to my earlier point about I'm having a wonderful time organizing NES games, I understand that is not how everyone's brain works. And seeing a giant sea of like 80 NES games, half of which are like SP versions, some of which are in Japanese and you don't know what they are. And sort of to Paul's point here of like, it'd be nice if there was a 5-10 minute video being like, here's why this game is special, here's what this game is. There could also just be like, here's like a preferred like way to display them, right? And like a way that makes browsing fun. It just seems like there are so many opportunities that they could just insist on what is interesting or what is fun about any of these games and like sort of guide you through them.
Yeah, because it's so uncurated, and obviously there is a large amount of Nintendo's audience who has a lot of affinity for the Nintendo Entertainment System because they grew up with it. But then there's a lot of people that you throw them into that in this completely unorganized mess, and they're like, Solomon, there's a lot of bad games.
There's a lot of bad games
like,
too.
Bad is relative, but like,
also a lot of bad games.
There's a lot of bad games, and they're all just presented equally.
Yes.
And having a little more curation nobody should have to play Solomon's Key if they don't want to. You know what I
No.
mean? And like maybe there is a reason why you would want to because you're into puzzle games or something like that.
Sure.
But if you're uninitiated going into that library, some amount of curation, some help
Yeah.
to get you. And again, it's in their best interest to do this,
Right.
to help people get more value out of what they're paying for.
Right. And curation is obviously a nightmare on every platform and always has been.
Totally.
But like, yeah, I mean, within the like NES and Nintendo Switch Online app, it's just it's too much, and like just impossible. You should be able to like share your like library's organization, right? Like, if I could send that to people, or if someone could be like, how does this person have it organized, and just see it, and then be like, copy that organization. Why not?
Yeah, and I mean, on one hand, it's really fun that the box sizes can be different. The boxes can be different sizes, like the
Right.
cover art, and so you can kind of determine what is important to you that way. But on the other hand, you throw somebody into it, it's just chaotic.
Yeah, absolutely chaotic. They need like some, I don't know, something to organize. And even if you were just like organize this by like greatest hits or by Mario
By
games,
genre or
anything.
Mhm.
Instead, it's just like alphabetical. Does that help? The answer is no. Yeah, I want to scroll like all the way down to get to S for
Right,
super.
right. I'm gonna get distracted by Solomon's Key.
I'm gonna. It's right before us. I'm never gonna make it to Super Mario Brothers.
Well, speaking of things that are available to Nintendo Switch Online subscribers, F-Zero 99 got a big update with version 1.4.0. It introduced something called festival events, which sounds like the F-Zero 99 equivalent of Tetris 99 Maximus Cups.
Okay, hold on.
Where in festival events, you collect gem sparks on festival tracks, and you by collecting them, you can earn rewards. So they really just appear as little like they really just look like gems that are on the tracks, and as you're driving you can like pick them up. Right now is the Festival Queen League, so all the Queen League tracks are festival tracks and have this edition.
Cool.
They also added Captain Falcon, Samurai Gora, Dr. Stewart, and Pico as star rivals. And star rivals show up in public F-Zero 99 races and festival tracks. When you beat a star rival in a race where they've been chosen as your rival, you'll receive a special badge that can be used on your pilot card.
I like Star Rivals as the opposite of
Star Allies.
Yeah.
Yes.
The first Kirby game on Switch.
They added emotes that can only be sent at specific locations during a race.
Fine.
So a face icon. This seems so like with everything else going on during an F-Zero race to like see a face icon in the upper right corner of the screen when an emote can be sent.
I love it.
And then in order to do that, you have to hold the R button and press A, B, X, or Y to select the emote you want to send. It just feels incredibly complicated for these brittle old hands.
But I gotta say, I love sending emotes in a multiplayer game. The best part of playing The Legend of Zelda Triforce Heroes is just like spamming those little emotes.
Yep.
Super fun. So a good addition here, I think.
The team battle mode got a big change. So now there are 5 teams of 10 people. So 50 people are competing at a time. Previously, it was just 2 teams. So they basically just reinvented this. All teammates now share one team super meter. And when the team super meter is full, all teammates can drive on the team Skyway together.
Cool.
So one thing that was added to F-Zero 99 is if you build up your meter enough, you basically get this like highway in the sky that's above everybody else.
It's very
cool. You can just drive
yes.
on. And so they changed that. They're introducing this thing called weekend events. 3 weekend events have been added. Weekend event Lucky Weekend. You can earn bonus tickets and experience during that. Weekend event Machine Shuffle Mini Pre-Weekend. At the start of the race, one type of machine is randomly selected, and all players compete for the mini pre with that machine. A car machine is F-Zero 99 talk for car. Then Team Battle Weekend. Team battles will be held frequently. You can earn bonus tickets, points, and experience. So they will start, these new weekend events will start after the Festival Queen League event ends sometime in the future and are held sequentially.
Sure. So we just like keep going through the order until they're all done.
And then plus they're added additional cosmetics for your machine and pilot card. plus other balance updates and bug fixes. I don't know. I feel like maybe I'll check out. I haven't been into F-Zero 99 for a long time.
No, this
Maybe
is
I'll check
exciting.
out this festival event.
It is starting to sound like they have added enough stuff to it that it is probably a transformed game from when I initially played it on release, which is maybe also what we're experiencing with Nintendo Switch Sports, right? Like there are 2 new sports in there.
Yeah, totally.
And now like F-Zero has all this other F-Zero 99 has all this other functionality. Yeah, I'll give this a shot. This sounds like fun.
Finally, last week, Nintendo announced that it no longer offers repairs for the Wii U or any Wii U peripherals in Japan, as it has run out of the necessary parts.
No more parts.
In May last year, they warned everybody that when the time comes that we've run out of parts, we will have to stop repairs for it, and that time has now come. Of course, Nintendo stopped offering Wii U repairs in other regions like years ago.
Right.
Japan was the last holdout, but officially, I mean, the Wii U, the eShop is offline, online play doesn't work anymore. You can't repair it anywhere in the world.
Right.
It is officially, I feel like, retired.
Yeah, it does feel like this is just like the end, and it is not. That's it. So long, Wii U.
What possible news story could come from the Wii U in the future unless they randomly start exploding?
Well, I told you, right, that I unplugged my Wii U from my TV and I put it down in my storage unit, which feels a little bit like I turned my back on it. But you know, if I ever want to play a Wii U or Wii game, I can always dig it back out. It's fine. It's still there.
Yeah, keep telling yourself that.
Wasn't there a thing a couple months ago or maybe a year ago where it was like, oh yeah, there's like a memory problem with them and like some of them just get like bricked up.
And honestly, I think if we went back and looked, it was probably like 2 or 3 years ago.
It was probably a really long time ago. And at the time I was probably like, oh, that happened to my Wii U. And I don't remember. All right, Mark, let's get out of the news. That is going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember, if you're not in our Discord, you should join. Email us. We'll send you an invitation. Anthony DeLuca made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying thank you for listening.